Welcome back to Empire State Weekly. I'm John Gray in Albany. As asylum seekers continue to arrive in New York, homeless shelters in the city report they are full. Mayor Eric Adams now making a plan to evict the asylum seekers from shelters after 60 days. The mayor's plan would remove the adult migrants without families that are in the city's care. Once they're given notice, they will get some help finding a new place and a job. The evictions will start with those who've been in the shelter the longest and go on a rolling basis. There's no word on how many people this will impact, but the city currently has some 54,000 migrants. If someone has nowhere to go after 60 days, they can reapply for shelter space. The move is meant to free up room for families with children. Now, in addition to the migrant issues in New York City, some residents at a motel right here in the Capital Region were evicted without warning in order to make room for arriving migrants nobody knew was coming. Joining us now to give additional insight into that action as well as the other immigrant issues, State Assembly Member Angelo Santabarbara. Assemblyman, thank you for being here.
Thanks for being inviting me to be on the show.
This was a surprise and a bit of a shock, wasn't it? For those watching other parts of Rotterdam, New York, right outside of Albany, people were told just you have to get out, and they weren't told why, right?
Yeah, and this is my hometown. This is where I live. I'm the Assemblyman representing the area, and I received zero notice that this was happening. The day of was a crazy day because we did start to get phone calls as to what is happening at the Super 8. The first sort of conclusion we came to is that maybe there was a code issue or some sort of emergency because people were being told to leave with less than an hour's notice. And they didn't know why. They were calling our office. We were trying to gather what we could, but we literally had no idea. There was no communication from New York City, from Mayor Adams, with these actions, these thoughtless actions of sending buses up here full of migrants in need of housing. And we understand there's challenges when it comes to migrants and placing them and figuring out what to do. But what's happened here is a total disregard for our community. Some of our most vulnerable citizens were already housed at the Super 8, people that had been placed there by social services, people that were experiencing personal hardships, people that were struggling with poverty themselves. And there's a number of personal stories that'll bring you to tears. And these are people that literally just got thrown out with less than an hour's notice that what I think are illegal evictions. I'm having the AG's office look into this. I have talked to them. I did send them a letter, but I have been in conversations with them, and I'm hoping they'll go forward with this investigation because who's to say this won't happen again and more people will get displaced? It doesn't seem like Mayor Adams has any regard for communicating with any officials about this. These plans are being made in secret. It's unjust, and it's unfair to everyone involved, really. It doesn't serve anybody well.
No, I was thinking even if you support completely asylum seekers wanting to help them, from a public relations, a PR standpoint, this is a disaster because you've got the single mom who might be fleeing domestic violence who was housed there being told get out, and then someone else comes in and now you lose that public support.
Exactly, and if you saw the pictures, they'll bring you to tears. I mean, people with kids. One situation where a mother was trying to get back on her feet. She had kids. She didn't have transportation. She was working across the street trying to get back and forth. We don't know what it happened so abruptly that we had no time to prepare. We didn't even know. We don't know where some of these people went. Are they going to trust now even being placed again after this happened so abruptly? In my conversations with the AG's office, I implored them to go forward with an investigation because this is an issue that could happen again. It's devastating our community. It could devastate other communities. And then there's the logistical part of this. The county is caught off guard here, right? And now there's no food service. There's no kitchens in the Super 8. It's an older motel. I don't know the condition that it's in, but they're trying to figure out how to get food to this location, how to make sure that we're prepared for any other needs. From what I understand, the latest numbers 183 so far. There's only about 90 rooms there, so I don't know what the situation is. 100 of those are children. So, the school system has not been informed. Everyone's finding out this piecemeal. To this day, we still don't have communication from New York City, which is unforgivable, to not contact any elected official, any representative throughout this process. And the information I got this morning from the city of Amsterdam, which I also represent, they were concerned when they heard this. They said, hey, this could happen here. And they started to call around to their motels. The Mayor Cinquanti, made some calls, and he found out that their motels were also approached and they were sort of the fact-finding portion of this. Had already happened, and they weren't notified.
Right.
I understand there's a situation now in Schenectady developing as we speak, another situation exactly like the Super 8, and this one may involve people with disabilities being displaced, homeless people that have been living in there, contracts that are in place for long-term placement just being ignored and thrown out, and people being removed overnight. That is unacceptable. Again, I am on the phone with the AG every single day now, trying to give them as much as I can to move forward with this investigation. It is needed. Working together with the AG's office, I hope we can find justice and fairness for these individuals that really don't deserve this.
At some point, it starts to feel from the outside looking in like a money grab almost, where they're reaching out to the motel, not the town, not to the assembly member, not to anybody, not to the soup kitchen to feed these people, but saying, look, we'll write you a check right now for this amount of money for a contract for a year, and that hotel owner or that motel owner just grab the dough and get them in, and then what happens next? 2 days later, they don't have food, or they don't have a way to get anywhere, or like you said, these kids, are they going to go to school? School's going to be here in a little over a month right now. What's going to happen there?
Exactly, and this leaves everybody caught off guard, and it does not make for it doesn't make for a good transition. It doesn't serve anybody well, and these individuals are being told to get on a bus. You're going to the town of Rotterdam or wherever it is, a place they've never been to before, and they have no choice but to go. But in the meantime, the decisions that are being made, this is not how government's supposed to work. These decisions are hurting people. The mayor of New York City ought to be ashamed of himself because he continues to do this. Now, to hear that there's a possibility in Amsterdam now, and there's other talks being with motels in Schenectady happening now, same sort of secrecy, same sort of silence and not informing anybody, not giving anybody any information or any heads up on this, puts everybody off guard and leaving a path of devastation with these actions. It's really thoughtless. It's really something that should never happen. These are elected officials. They should have respect for our communities. They should have regard for vulnerable citizens and what may happen, but none of that is happening here. I am outraged. I've been trying to reach the mayor of New York City. I had a conversation with Congressman Tonko this morning, who is a congressman that represents the area, and he's been trying to reach the mayor of New York City unsuccessfully. So just complete silence on this. I can hardly believe this is happening. It's just outrageous behavior.
It starts to feel like it's off their plate, and they're happy to have it off their plate, and they don't want to take your call at this point, I would think.
Well, for whatever reason, they didn't talk to us before, they're not talking to us after, and here they are going around again now trying to do the same thing with other communities in my assembly district and perhaps in other places in upstate New York, but it's really not fair to anybody. They put everybody in a difficult position. It's not serving these migrants well. It's displacing vulnerable people, as I said, people that they're facing personal hardships. They ended up out on the street last Tuesday, and we're trying to reach out to them now, my office, to find out if we can identify who they are to get those services restored or get them back in a safe environment.
To help them, yeah.
As you said, it may be domestic violence, it may be crime victims, it may be a number of different reasons they were placed there, or personal hardships themselves. And if they have contracts in place and they are just ignoring that and telling them to get out, the AG needs to look into, is this legal? I do not think it's legal. I think it's illegal, and I think people need to be held accountable for these decisions.
Angelo, Santabarbara, thanks for coming in. We know you'll have more on this coming up in the days ahead.
We'll keep you updated, yes.
All right, thank you for that. If you have a comment or story idea, please let us know. Email us at news@news10.com or reach out on Twitter at WTEN.